Now let's start off by talking about the cover art here. I mean, number one, you got this cocksucker over here. You know, it's an interesting thing. The werewolf has these claws, almost like like Wolverine. You know, I guess that they could use those claws just in case he has a. All right, boy, oh boy, where are we going with this one, huh? This review is brought to you from Joel Gadica. Very good friend of the show. Very nice supporter of the show here on Patreon. We really appreciate that. And he was late. Everybody, that qualified for the review sent me a message saying what they want. I had to track Joel down. I'm like, Joel, what's going to be the game? And he sent me a message, basically a very brief message that said, Werewolf The Last Warrior. Okay, so we're dealing with Data East here, 1990. So it's a late release. I'm very curious to see. Well, I already know because I already played the game. No, but let's see how Data East does later on in the Nintendo's life cycle. Werewolf's a game I've never played before. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize it existed until somebody sent it to us. Very nice, clean copy we have here. Cover art, you got this big, hairy werewolf ripping through. What's interesting is he's ripping through the fucking Nintendo cartridge. You see that? I'd love to take like a die grinder and cut out around here and see if that's the actual chipset behind that section right there. Wouldn't that be interesting? To nobody at all? I guess I don't know. Wow, that's a cover art, huh? Naturally, the werewolf has claws, because, listen, you got to understand the popularity of Wolverine at the time. You had to stick claws on everything! Jesus Christ. Right? That whole Wolverine thing with retractable claws, that was like an important part of pop culture in a way. I don't know what we're talking about here. Anyhow, I guess the story of Werewolf starts out where you have this crazy scientist, mad scientist, Dr. Farian, who creates a legioned army of biomonsters to imprison the people of Earth. Now, I never understood, why would you want to imprison the people of Earth? Why wouldn't you just wipe them out? Right? If you knew listen, all you have to do is walk through a fucking shopping mall here on Long Island and realize that everybody deserves to die. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Listen, we're only kidding on the show, aren't we? Yeah, of course. No, yeah, so this Dr. Farian guy creates these biomonsters, and guess what? You're the only guy that can stop them because you are the werewolf. And there was no explanation for this. You're a werewolf. So this story, listen, you got to take it with a grain of salt, don't you? Game starts out at the beginning. Interesting enough, this game starts out with a boss fight. I was like, oh, what? Right into a boss fight, and there's a sign in the background that says, don't knock. I'm like, number one, what does this mean, don't knock? Anyhow, maybe it's your lair or something like that? Maybe that's how you hide your lair. You put a sign out in front that says, don't knock. I don't know. Anyhow, you go through this boss fight, and then you meet your guide, who's apparently the spirit of Kinja. But I don't know who Kinja is. So it's like, what? Who's this guy? This guy looks like he did a lot of hard drinking in his life, okay? He's going to give you advice. He gives you decent. Listen, he gives you decent advice, especially on the second board. I mean, listen. He becomes like a bit of a friend, I guess, and an advisor through the game. I was like, all right, that's good. That's fine. And then next thing you know, you're off. You start the game as, mere mortal man. Interesting enough, your sprite looks like Simon Belmont. I mean, you remember how Simon Belmont was kind of hunched over? And he had that shuffle walk, Kind of has the same sprite design. I notice a lot of Castlevania in this game, which really doesn't make any sense because that's Konami. We're talking Data East here. I mean, sometimes you see parallels between games of the same developer. So yeah, there we go. And then all of a sudden you get this icon that turns you into a werewolf. And as a man, your attack is you have a punch, you have a jump, you have a high jump, and you have like a charge shot, which is basically you saying, no! I don't know. It's like the anti-rape attack, I guess. I love that. Did you ever see... Remember these places that... I think we still have it down here on Wellwood Avenue. Modern Warrior. And I remember I used to go down there and buy Ninja Stars. They had the foam nunchuck so you didn't crack yourself in the head. Remember you had the foam nunchuck so you could really practice? Everybody wanted to learn nunchucks like Bruce Lee. And to be honest with you, half of what Bruce Lee was doing with the nunchucks was bullshit, wasn't it? I mean, this going around the waist, honestly, going around the back, come on. What was that doing? I don't know. Anyway, you go down to Modern Warrior, and I remember they had a class in the back, and they were teaching women self-defense. So, listen, teaching women self-defense, I'm sorry, it's a joke. I know you got women in the UFC these days. They want to learn, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's one thing. Then you might have a chance. But they were like, this is what you do if a man grabs you. The man grabs you, and you grab him by the wrist, and you try to twist it. I'm watching these girls. They're going to twist the man's wrist and yell, no! Okay. That'll stop a rapist. Yeah, sure. That's like adding gasoline to the fire. And I love it. The woman would twist the guy's wrist, and the instructor would like do a somersault flip in the air like Ric Flair and land on his back. It's like, come on. What are you trying to sell here? Honestly, did you ever have a woman twist your wrist before? No, because it doesn't happen. All right, where were we? Yeah. So you'll also notice in the bottom right corner of the screen, you have a picture of your face. When you're a man, I guess you're supposed to look like Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Anyway, listen. Keith Emerson, listen, rest in peace, Keith Emerson. Did you ever see Keith Emerson play Hoedown in Spain live? Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. Sip of coffee to Keith Emerson. Jesus Christ. Let's face it, the keyboard player was never cool. I mean, even Keith Emerson's not cool. I mean, he is, but he isn't, right? I mean, it was like, wasn't that like the big thing? Let's face it. If you liked Emerson, Lake and Palmer as a young kid, we were stuffing you into a locker. Let's just face it. I'm not listening to any rock and roll band with a keyboard player. As soon as there's a keyboard player, I'm out. That's why when Iron Maiden got a keyboard player, it's like I couldn't even show my face for a week. I couldn't look Rex straight in the eye. When did it happen? What song was that? Moonchild. Moonchild. All right. Here we go. So yeah. So that was the big thing. I mean, the geeks. You'd hear the geeks talk about Keith Emerson and who was the guy from Yes? The keyboardist from Yes. Who's the greatest keyboardist of all time? I mean, who the fuck really cares? Well, you want to talk best guitarist of all time? I'm in. You want to talk best drummer of all time? I'm in. But I'm not going to talk about best keyboardist of all time. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Please. Anyhow. Yeah, so then you get the werewolf power-up, and this is where things really change in this game, okay? The werewolf is super agile. He's got a high jump. He's got a spin, like a screw attack almost, but it's not a screw attack because I think you can still get hit while you're screwing. You can crawl on your hands and knees, which can get you to certain areas. You can... First of all, the werewolf transformation, listen, it's okay. It's okay. It's not like American Werewolf in London here. All right? It's basically your face, and I'm like, is this his real fucking face, his real angry face? And then they put the werewolf, and they go back and forth, basically just putting it over until you change into the werewolf. And then they show the werewolf like this, but he's got hooks for hands. And I'm like, what is going on here? What is he, fucking handicapped? He's got hooks. I said, all right. You know, it's weird enough you turn into a werewolf, but then you turn into a werewolf with hooks for hands. On the cover, I thought they were claws, but apparently they're hooks. So what are you going to do? So here we go. Now you can crawl on ceilings. You can crawl up walls. You have, if you hit A and B, you can do a backwards double jump, which makes you invincible. Which, by the way, on the first board, they have these, like, electricity, I don't know, this is like the staple of a lot of, platforming games on the Nintendo. This area where you'll pass through and they zap electricity down, and it's like these electrical strikes that don't have any timing whatsoever. You know how like in Contra you'll have something there, like, I don't know, like a laser or something like that, and you got to time it, and you can get through it. Even in Jackal they had the timed laser thing. These lightning strikes were completely random, and I was sitting there, and then once you walk into them, it's like they zap you to death. They just keep on zapping, you can't get through them. So I sat there, I swear, for over an hour trying to get through these fucking lightning strikes. I said, there's got to be a better way. And I finally figured out that you could do that. This is the problem. I don't have the instruction manual, and I'm not going to research the game online. I refuse to do it. So, I found out you have an invincibility jump backwards. So, you just jumped your way through the lightning like that. Wow, it was infuriating until I found that out. I almost, listen, I was going to take the game out and smash it in pieces. I tell you, Joel, you got some curses coming your way, buddy. Because I will tell you this, the controls in Werewolf are broken. And this is where, this is what ruins the game. There's two things that ruin this game for me. And number one is the broken controls. The controls are broken. I don't care what you say. Problem is, I played so much of the game that I started to learn the controls. And it's not, trust me, the controls are broken. They're very sticky. The high spin jump. In other words, when you play Metroid and you want to do the screw attack, listen, you just press diagonally up and right, say you're going right, and jump. You'll do the screw attack, no problem. This had so much bias to pressing up and jump that you almost lost your forward progress, so you weren't sure if you were going to jump forward, but you had to use such a bias up that when you jumped, you were afraid you were just going to jump straight up instead of jumping over and up. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Why? Why? Didn't people beta test this game? Let me beta test the game! I'll get the controls right first time. Not only that, you can jump on like girders and stuff like that and climb, or jump on walls. And then like you can jump on a girder and then come to the top of the girder. And then you have to jump off the girder and then onto the top of it. It's fucking nearly impossible. And it's frustrating as hell. Sometimes you'll jump between a girder and a barrel on the bottom that you'll punch for a power up, and you'll get stuck. And you'll have to crawl out and jump out and then fall down. It's maddening. The controls are maddening. They're very unresponsive. I don't know how they fuck this type of stuff up. I don't know how it happens. Obviously, a lot of time went into the programming of this game. The graphics are good. Okay. I would say the standout graphics, probably level 3. I think it was level 3 when you're down in it. What was the name of the place? The stalagmite forest or something like that. I don't know. You're down in a cave. You start in a cave, but then you come up to a forest that reminds me of Contra. I don't know why. Remember in Contra when you're running through the trees? But I think there's snow on the trees in Contra. It's one of the best looking levels. The best looking level in this game is, I think, 4. It's a waterfall board. A lot of lively action with the waterfall, palm trees in the background. Yeah, it looks good. It reminds me of Kadesh for some reason with the waterfalls. Or even Bonk's Adventure. The constantly running water. Maybe even Super Mario Brothers 2. Remember how did they have pretty waterfalls? I love waterfall effects in a game. Yeah. Kadesh did it the best, as far as I'm concerned. For 16-bit, yeah, baby. Very nice. Blue running water. What could be more pretty? Sip of coffee for waterfalls, huh? Yeah. Oh, there's no end to what this werewolf does. He has a charge shot, but the problem is he'll do this charge shot and then release it. It's like you can't see the attack. It's just like a concussion attack, I guess. It's very powerful, but what it does is it knocks your energy down. I hate that. I hate attacks. There's nothing more annoying to me. I think about Final Fight. Wasn't it Final Fight when you would use Hagar? Yeah. And he would do the spin attack like this, and it would use your energy, wouldn't it? Are you fucking kidding me? I hate beat-em-ups where when you use your special attack, it uses your energy. come the fuck on. I'm the type of guy I'll never use it because I'm so fucking cheap. It bothers the shit out of me. I hate that when you have attacks that use your life energy. I'll never use it. And you never use it. It doesn't make sense, especially in a beat 'em up. I don't know. Anyhow. Yeah, and you can also pick up anger. You pick up these anger, I don't know, these little orbs, and they increase your anger level. You get 5 of those orbs, and then you transform into, I don't know, Super Werewolf. Problem with Super Werewolf is, all he does is jump higher. Well, I'm sure his attack is a little, like, when you're a man, you're half as strong as the fucking werewolf. And then when you become Super Werewolf, it just makes you jump higher, which basically just screws up your platforming mechanics. It's a no-go. It's like there's no advantage to it. Maybe you're more powerful, but being a little more powerful doesn't make up for the fact that it's fucking up your ability to fucking jump platforms. Because when you're Super Werewolf and you go from one platform and you jump to the next, he jumps so high that you can't even see the platform below you where you're going to land. You have to guess at it. There are some blind falls in this game, which I don't like. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not gonna fall to my death and then start the level over. It's like, no, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. And then when you go to Mad City, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So we get to stage 2, and then here we go. You have the choice. You could stay above ground or you can go underground. Underground will reward you with more treasure, but, a little more platforming, maybe a little more dangerous. So here's the interesting thing. They're constantly trying, now you're the werewolf, right? Let's say you're the werewolf. They're constantly trying to fuck you by giving you icons that turn you back into a man. In other words, they'll put you in a position where everything you strike is going to give you some type of power up. You get extra time. By the way, you're timed in this game, which is annoying. And it's not so much time that you're going to have an issue with time if you don't get any time power-ups. But the time power-ups are kind of all over the place. It's like, why have the timer? I don't get it. Why are you stressing me out? I don't want to be stressed out. I want to enjoy playing the game. Don't stop stressing me out. So anyway, they'll put you in a position where you punch bricks or stuff like that, or you punch like these urns or different things on different levels, but they give you power-ups, and there's no shortage of power-ups. You'll get the werewolf W, so you can transform into a werewolf, but you'll also get the blue W, which will transform you back into a man. So what they'll do is they'll put these power-ups in a situation where you'll jump behind and then you'll turn around and punch the power-up, and then the man werewolf, the power-up that transforms you back into a man will come out. And then once you get it, you're like, hey, guys, I'm a man again. I can do this. All right. Was that necessary? I don't know. A sip of coffee. So they'll transform you. They'll put you in a position where the icon for transforming back to a man will come up, and you can't jump over it. You have to get it. And to be honest with you, it makes no sense to be a man in this game. It's the wolf. You want to be the wolf. The man is a downgrade. Why they didn't make it so certain sections of the game it was advantageous to be the man, certain sections of the game it was advantageous to be the wolf, it would have been more interesting. I don't know why they made being the man a punishment. It could have been a different style of attack or something like that. It would have made the game more interesting. All right? Take note, Daddy East. All right, Bidhead 1000 told you. Take note. You still around? What is Daddy East doing lately? Anyhow. You go to Mad City, and what's great about Mad City is when you finally pop up right before the boss. What's the boss's name? I got a couple notes here, all right? So don't fucking jump down my throat. Ironhead. And we'll talk about him in a second. But as you approach the boss, there's a pre-boss fight. There's another boss, the same boss that you fought on the first level. It's like, what the fuck? I just fought this guy in the first level. Why'd they shoehorn him back in here again? And this is another gripe I have with the game, because you wind up fighting this guy almost on every board of the game moving forward. Why? Why? It's cheap. It's cheap. It doesn't make any sense. It's like you just threw him in there. I don't like that. Anyhow, you're fighting Ironhead, who's basically... It's Juggernaut! It's Juggernaut. I have no problem with that. I love Juggernaut, but man, is he a motherfucker of a boss in this game. Oh my god, this cocksucker. He's got to be the hardest fucking boss in the game. It's got to be. Let me tell you something, Marvel. Listen up, Marvel. I got news for you. These superhero movies you're making are going into the shit tank. You listen, superhero movies, I'm telling you right now, Steven Spielberg said it the best. He said superhero movies are going to go the way of the Western. They're going to disappear altogether. And there's a reason why this is going to happen faster than it should. So Marvel, you might want to fucking listen up. And I'm going to give you some fucking sage advice right now. You ready for this? Make a Juggernaut movie. Do you understand me? And here we go. You ready for the formula? I'll save you. I'll save the whole franchise, right? I'll save your whole company right now. Rated R. It's got to be brutal with practical effects. Okay? Make Juggernaut the way he's supposed to be. You couldn't make a Hulk movie properly. How do you fuck up making a Hulk movie? It's a fucking enraged animal of a creature. How do you screw it up? But you can save it with Juggernaut. Oh yeah. Make it brutal. Make it like a spaghetti western. A spaghetti western and a slasher movie smashed into one. Practical effects, rated R. Oh my god, you got yourself such a smash hit, you have no idea. You think Guardians of the Galaxy did it for you guys? You have no idea. Give me the rated R superhero movie, and then we'll talk. You're blowing it, Marvel. Anyhow, so interesting thing is, you encounter Ironhead, and he kind of runs away from you. So you wind up climbing this building, and there's a nice cutscene as you climb the building. And then what's interesting is when you get to the top of the building, there are no enemies up here. It turns into like a platforming arrangement, which I don't mind. This made things kind of interesting. I like the fact that it was void of enemies. It was like almost like you're practicing your acrobatics. And trust me, you need to practice them with these broken fucking controls. But what pissed me off beyond belief is you get on top of some of these girders and whatnot, and all of a sudden you get a lightning strike, a one-shot lightning strike that would kill you. I mean, what the fuck? Give me a fucking break. That was infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. Anyway, you get up to this Juggernaut clown. Oh, by the way, in order to get up to... So you go through the top of this building, and then you hook onto this bar and like slide across it, like on the ceiling. And you're like, wow, this werewolf really has it together. The next thing you know, you're falling back down the building. Not like climbing back down the building or jumping down the building because you're the werewolf. You're falling. And it's right after you did this sliding move, like you knew what the fuck you were doing. It doesn't make any sense. And then it plunges you right into the battle with Ironhead. Okay? Which I think at this time is a good time to discuss the music of this game. All right? Number one, there is... the music confuses me in this game. There's like 4 tracks, buddy. It's like 4 different tracks. There's a serious shortage of music here. You have music when you're a werewolf, when you transform into a werewolf. Music when you talk to the spirit of Kinji. Music when you're on the level. And that's basically it. And then some end boss music. And the music on the level is interesting when you're up in the buildings. It has like this really frenetic drum fill. I mean, the music is really good, but it's very short-looped music. So I don't get it. The music was quality, but it's on a short loop, so you can tolerate it, right? I mean, it's like Bubble Bobble, right? That little jingle plays the entire fucking game, but you can tolerate it for some reason or another. So the music is quality. So what do? I look up the names of the guys who did the music, which I've never done before, and it's something I always wanted to do. And we get, here we go. You ready for this? We get Takafumi Miura. Okay? So basically, this guy was involved in other Data East games. Heavy Barrel, Rampage, Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes, the train theme? Woo! Wow. Let me tell you something. That should be credited as one of the finest NES songs of all time. And then you got this guy, Shogo Sakai, I think, who basically went on to do Smash Brothers Melee, which is, I don't know, listen, I got my fucking, is that the one on the GameCube? I got my fucking stepson playing that song, that game all fucking day long. Those songs are ingrained in my head. And they're catchy. They're catchy. Smash Brothers Brawl and Mother 3. I mean, we got elite guys doing the music for this game. You ready for this one? This is the one that blew my fucking mind. Yuzuki Takahama. Okay, you ready for this? Heavy Barrel, Bad Dude, Side Pocket, Lock and Chase, G.I. Joe, Smash Brothers, Boulder Dash, Kickmaster. And you ready for this one? Yes. Listen, I've always wanted to know who's responsible for the Bloody Wolf music. Here we go. 2 guys. And that Takafumi Miura guy worked on Bloody Wolf too. When it comes to Bloody Wolf music, this is like the music gods came down. You ready for this? Let's play. Come on. Guys, all I got to do, we play the ending theme. Here we go. You ready for this? it off! You don't know music until you listen to Bloody Wolf. My God, you have a TurboGrafx 16? You don't have Bloody Wolf? Get out of my country! Anyhow. Yeah, but the music will aggravate you because there's not enough of it. It's like, guys, you did a bang-up job here. It's almost like Takahuma, whatever his name is, was on he was on lunch break. They were like, hey, can you write some, hey, while you're on lunch break from Bloody Wolf, can you write this werewolf music? And he was like, yeah, here. There you go, 4 songs. All right, where are we? Mm-hmm. 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 All right. All right. All right. Oh, you know what? Then you had that. We get to stage. What I don't understand is, and I thought the game had a. I'm just going over some notes here. I hope you don't mind. You know, I got. You think I fucking play around here? Look at this. I got fucking pages of notes, front and back, All right, we're thorough job here. Thorough job. We don't fuck around here. This was the most difficult review I had to do. It took me a fucking week to do this one. A fucking week. Listen, man, you want to talk NES hard? This fucking game is hard. No save states. Repetition. You get it? Muscle memory. This is part of my training. This is part of my anti-Alzheimer's training, all right? Is to play these brutal platformers, that you guys are recommending me. Thank you, Joel. fucking bending me over the dresser with this one here. All right, here we go. Stage 3-1, you face Giant Head. It tells you Stage 3-1, Giant Head, and then it's almost like the game glitches, and it says Stage 3-2, Fireman. And you're like, what happened to Stage 3-1? And you automatically go to Stage 3-2. Which has an interesting part of the board on it where alarms go off. Very reminiscent of Metal Gear. Especially even the background, the green tiled background reminds me of Metal Gear. And the alarm going off, and it's interesting. You see the enemies looking around because the alarm's going off. I thought that was clever. It was very clever. And then you go and you fight Fireman, which is probably the best looking boss of the game. He's speeding around. Very interesting boss. Graphically very good. What did I want to say? Oh yeah, the enemy choices in this game are interesting. I mean, you start out the game, you're a werewolf, and then there's ninjas coming out after you. It was what? Ninjas? And then they have almost these guys who are foot soldiers, right? And what's interesting about them, if they're running at you from one direction and they see you, they say, oh, OH. But if they're running at you from the other direction and they see you, they say, ho, H-O, in reverse. And I don't think that's anything clever. I think that's them just mirroring the sprite. So that was kind of lazy to me. But I guess kind of funny. And it works because you could say ho or you could say oh if you're surprised when you see somebody. Anybody still awake? I don't know. Yeah, so where was Giant Head the whole time? I don't know. You're in the Madness base fighting Fireman. And then when you blow up Fireman, everything starts shaking or flashing. And then you get this message saying that basically Dr. Farian was victorious, and that you just sunk into the sea. And you're like, sea? I don't see any water. Like, what happened? And then all of a sudden they tell you that you emerged. Let me see if my microphone's fucking me tender. And then they tell you that you sunk down into the sea or something like that. And you're like, huh, what? What happened? And then they tell you that you rise again. And then, which basically takes you on to level 4. Confusing. Very confusing. I didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. I gotta freshen up this coffee. So the story is very convoluted in this game. I don't really... Maybe it's something got lost in translation. I don't know. Stage 4 they introduce as Thick Forest. That's the name of the stage. Thick Forest. And then you're facing Monster. Number one, generic name for a stage. Thick Forest. And then Monster is the boss you're facing. It's like, what are they, running out of steam on this one? And then at the 4th board is ultimately the waterfall board. Very nice. You fight like this water beetle guy at the end. He's an interesting boss. But you'll notice by stage 4, they kind of get lazy. A lot of recycled enemies. Yeah. I'm sorry. A game this brutal, and I'm on stage 4 and you're recycling enemies, I'm not happy about it. Yeah. Which ultimately brings you to stage 5, which is kind of a pushover stage. And it's the last stage of the game. And this is the stage that you face Dr. Farian. So here we go. It's the epic battle against Dr. Farian. And what does he do? Number one, he shows up and he drinks a potion and turns into you. Which kind of pissed me off at first. And then I started to think about it. And it's like, oh, I get it. So Dr. Farian created you. All right? So here's your major beef with this guy, right? He's the one that turns you into a werewolf. So in the beginning of the game, they just make it seem like, oh, yeah, you're the werewolf. All right? Maybe you're the only one with an immune system to fight off, to have some, what do you call it? Free will as a monster. So you were stronger than everybody else, weren't you? So I guess it's at that moment that you realize he's almost like your creator as a werewolf. So in that regard, it's cool, but I wasn't really psyched about fighting myself because to me, that's lazy sprite work. But when they bring it back is then he transforms into like what reminds me of Dracula from Castlevania. Here's another parallel because he's got like the cape on. It reminds me of Dracula and Altered Beast. Remember an Altered Beast where the guy would come out with the robe on? And stick his arm out with the robe on? Yeah, it reminds me of that. And he's throwing like steel girders at you, which really doesn't make sense. But hey, why not? There you go. You take down Dr. Farian, and my favorite part of the game is, number one, you get the ending music, which is fantastic. I don't know whether the ending music is really good, or it's just so fucking refreshing to hear different music. So I can't really report on the quality of that end music. I loved it because I was like, oh my God, different music. Christ almighty. And you listen, and what's worth the price of going through this whole game is this last photo of you as the werewolf, and you're holding an American flag. And it's basically like you're naked and you have absolutely no cock to speak of. I mean, they couldn't put like a furry bulge there or something. Come on. It looks like, Hey, I'm the werewolf with no dick. I don't know. There you go. That's the Werewolf Data East 1990. Joel, there you have it, buddy. Thanks for torturing me for a week. No, Werewolf's an interesting game. It's an interesting game, that's for sure. Listen. You just tuned into the greatest video game program in the history of human civilization. And you better believe that. With a 4K face!